How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome to the continuation of Higurashi When They Cry. We're starting Chapter 2, Watanagashi. So, yeah, I don't know what to expect here, but happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. What's this going up? I had to delay some stuff because I got sick, but that we're going to try and resume all that this week. So, assuming nothing else goes wrong, and I'm not going to have some kind of weird relapse, we're like, when this is going live, you're watching this the day it's gone up. I should probably be doing a live stream that evening with the Legend of Heroes stuff. If you were following that series, it's going to be what's called the Rap Party. It's where I kind of just talk about it, and I'll be talking about the first game and the second game. So Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky and Trails in the Sky second chapter. Kind of just summarizing my thoughts on the whole thing, kind of going over the characters and my general just opinions on it, and also reveal what will be starting this week as a new series, which is also very spicy and fun. So yeah, despite the fact that last week was kind of like a kind of week where I was able to get some stuff done but couldn't follow through on other things, this week's going to be pretty explosive, so I'm very excited to do that. But regardless of that, that's enough waffling. We're here with Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 2. I'm not entirely sure what to expect with this. I can't tell if this is simply going to be a retelling of the story we just did with Chapter 1, and it's just from a different perspective. Is it going to be looking at different events, or is it all still around the same stuff? Is it going to be from the same point of view of character of Keiichi, or is it going to be from a different perspective? I'm really curious to find out. I did do the configuration with the... I installed the mods, as you can see, 07th expansion. Thank you so much for the modders and those who contributed. As long as everything's right, when I went in and checked the settings, we should still be on the console sprites, which means we should still have the voices and the synchronization of the mouth movements, which should still be applicable. I did have someone talk about how I could have, you can restore the music, because there's some music that got removed from the original when Manga Gamer got it. And you can kind of restore that. I'm going to try that, but keep in mind if we do it, either A, maybe I didn't implement it right, so let me know if it didn't implement, and B, even if it is implemented correctly, because there's a potential copyright issue, there's a chance that the videos could start getting claimed or even taken down. If I see anything like that happening, I'm going to switch it back to the reverted one, which I know might be disappointing because I'm sure the original music was really good and nostalgic, but you also have to understand I need to make it friendly enough to stay up on YouTube, or else it'll just get taken down and we won't be able to share it. So, yeah, I'm just going to play with it the best I can. But for now, unless I messed up the settings, we should be console edition sprites with the music. Also, there's a censorship thing where it says you can do pure as it was when it was first released, or you can have it really heavily censored. I went for the normal, which it says it tries to preserve it, but it takes out some things. I'm not sure what it's referencing. I'm guessing based on the description that if I go up to the fully uncensored version, because it's on a scale of 1 to 5 and it's on a 2, and 1 is fully unedited, and 5 is heavily edited down. So it's probably limits blood and tones down all the jokes. I should have most of the jokes consistent on the level 2, but just keep that in mind. There might be some editing, or it might be altered, and I'm not too sure what that scale really means. I don't want to play too much with fire, but I also am very much a believer in hey, let's try and preserve as close to the original intent of the creators as possible. Even if it says or does things that are distasteful, it's that should be acknowledged. It's the same problem I have with stuff like Disney when they go back and revise their shows or try and edit out scenes. It's that shouldn't really be happening, because we shouldn't pretend that those attitudes that were toxic and bad didn't happen, but they should be addressed and be hey, that's not very cool, or I don't like that. The best approach I've seen for Disney on the Disney side is I see it, I think, with Peter Pan, as they say we've got a lot of distasteful depictions, and they're right. They have very stereotypical distasteful depictions of Native Americans, but they have a they'll preload with a little slide that says, hey, this was made at a different time. We don't believe these reflect our morals anymore, but you can still watch the show. I think that's the same thing I personally approach this with. It's look, when they first created the game, whoever made it probably had some distasteful opinions, especially compared to nowadays, and maybe the sensitivities of the modern day versus when it came out. But I feel there's a balance we can strike, and I'm going to strive for it. Anyway, enough of that. Wow, 5 minutes intro. I'm so sorry. I hope you skipped ahead if you didn't want to hear that, but let's get started. Oh, that's weird. The music went bouncing back and forth between my headphones. Whoa, the fetch. How's your taste of life in Hinamizawa? A curse or a conspiracy? I believe you have fully enjoyed everything and everyone seems suspicious. Here at last, there are no surprise attacks, but a real direct incident. Please enjoy it. The difficulty is lower than Onikakushi, but extremely vicious. What is about difficulty? Is it difficulty figuring out what's going on? Because like, I didn't have to make any choices. Interesting. All right, well, let's go. Like, this basement looks horrifying. If this is Rena's basement with all of her like cute stuff, like that'd explain a lot. That laugh. I will not quench your thirst, for you seek truth and could not accept that. I will not quench your thirst, for the truth you desire does not exist. But I will still want to quench your thirst, for I am the one who cast you into the desert. All right. This is a work of fiction, and it resembles to actual persons or organizations is completely coincidental. AD 1983, the early summer of the 58th year of the Shouwa era. 1983 was... Okay, I probably just misremembering. I thought the first game happened in 1985, so was this 2 years earlier? You'd think I would remember that, but I feel like the year was mentioned like once, and it probably was at the beginning of the game. The chirping of birds served as my alarm clock. No, this looks like Keiichi's room. Huh? Wasn't today Sunday? Wasn't it basically my style to stay up late on Saturday and sleep through the morning on Sunday? Why was I waking up at this disgustingly wholesome hour? Back to sleep, back to sleep. It is from Keiichi's position. At that moment, the sound of my mother calling me from downstairs finally registered. Phone call. I sprung up out of bed abruptly and stamped noisily down the stairs. He's awake. I'll put him on right now, my mother informed the person on the other end of the line. Hey, Rena. This music does sound really different, so I think I got that right. Well, that was embarrassing. Dang it. Well, fetch. Okay, so that whole beginning intro, it wasn't capturing the audio. It happens sometimes, unfortunately, when Microsoft or other programs roll out and edit, it sometimes resets all the audio setups I've got. Now, for most people that wouldn't happen because everything's set up to default anyway, but because I have multiple audio things going on, I got a microphone, I have multiple devices that can each record, like my headset can technically record, my webcam can do a recording. So defaults actually tend to just be neutral, nothing. So it was capturing nothing, even though it should just be capturing like the audio for the game. So that's unfortunate. There wasn't a whole lot besides the music I pointed out being like on par. So yeah, maybe I'll try and recapture at least the beginning intro music myself, but yeah, I apologize for that. That's something I should have checked. I normally do. I just got caught up in just wanting to record, so that's unfortunate. Anyway, we're gonna continue on. Thankfully, I noticed before it got too bad, and we didn't have a whole lot of stuff to listen to, so it should be fine, but we'll get to it. Anyway, back to what we were saying. Things seem fine. The music definitely doesn't sound quite the same, but like it feels revamped. So if this sounds appropriate for the original, then we did good. All right, let's keep going.
レナか。こんな朝っぱらから何の用だよ。
朝っぱらってことはないと思うな。もうお昼だよ。
It was 11 o'clock. I guess you could loosely consider that middle of the day.
で、なんか用か。
ちょっと待ってね。今みーちゃんに変わるよ。
Oh, what?
Good morning, ケイちゃん。
Hey, Mion.
日本語で言うならおはようケイちゃんってとこかな。
ついでに中国語とドイツ語とロシア語でも言ってみろ。
ニーハオケイちゃん。グーテンモルゲンケイちゃん。
Yep, so Chinese, German.
ロシア語ダズビダーニャ。知るわけないでしょ。
Yeah, I don't know.
まあいいや。バカな話してたら目が覚めた。
そりゃ結構なことで。でさ、ケイちゃん今日暇？ケイちゃんが大丈夫なら全員揃うんだけどな。
Everybody? Did she mean all the club members?
そうだよ。まあ、普段の激戦を思えば、休日くらいのどかに、なんて思ってるかもしれないけど、そりゃ甘いよ、ケイちゃん。
へいへい。あらゆる環境に対応して最善手を模索するのが、つまり、休日だろうとお構いなしってわけだ。
おお、ケイちゃんも我が部のことが分かってきたね。で、どう？これさ。
I had absolutely nothing planned that day. If we were to refuse Club President Mion's invitation, what other fun ways to pass the time would we have?
別に予定なんかねえし、嫌だって言ったら、不先輩扱いで、どんな罰ゲームを課せられるやら。
There.
そこまで分かってるなら断れないよね。もし OK なら、いつもの待ち合わせ場所に1時集合。
So I got another guess here. Based on what I'm hearing and the name, I'm guessing that this is going to be kind of a revamp of the lead up to the Watanagashi, which is the festival. So I'm guessing this is all before all that.
街へ行くから自転車で来てね。
Excuse me. Still got a little bit of like the illness in me, so I might cough. Club activities in town? Well, we could do them anywhere. Besides, since it was a new venue, there's no way this wasn't going to be intense.
私、おとといの惜敗、かなり根に持ってるからね。今日ははっきり言って、負けないよ。
A couple of days ago was Friday's club activities. That uncompromising poker match. It was a fight to the death. Nobody held back. Nobody could tell who was in the lead or who was last until all the points were tallied. In the end, I won by only one chip. Mion came in second. Dang it. To think if I hadn't squandered that one chip. Mion lamented, thus, perhaps more so than the fact that she lost the match. That probably looks right? Mion didn't lose. That's why Mion only whined when she let the champion's throne slip through her fingers. That's why she was more frustrated than anyone over a close loss. So, did she mean for today to be the grudge match?
上等だ。おととい同様、一気に畳んで罰ゲームさせてやるぜ。せいぜい自分がやらされても辛くない内容にしとくんだな。
そうこなくちゃ。
I like her laugh there. She sounds like a witch. Like in a friendly way. After that, we exchanged jeers for a bit before we're hanging up on the phone. As I headed back upstairs hastily to get my key to my bike, I bumped into my mother. She was carrying a futon down.
あら、ケイチ。上機嫌みたいね。お出かけ？
そんなとこ、俺、みんなと街に遊びに行ってくるから。
Nice.
行ってらっしゃい。車に気をつけるのよ。夕飯までには帰ってくるのよ。
へいへい、ちゃんと帰ってくるって。
Sounds fun. I wish I had the free time like that. After unlocking the chain from my bike in the garage, I revealed a bit of the resistance the slightly stiff pedal gave as I pushed on it. I relieved a bit of the resistance. Alright, let's go. I set off on my bike, cutting through the refreshing morning air. Hey, look at that. They don't spark fear at all. They're perfectly wonderful people, right?
遅いよ。
おう、待たせたな。あれ、貞子とリカちゃんは？
あの二人はここで待ち合わせるより、直接街で合流した方が早いよ。
That makes sense. Oh, I see. If I remember correctly, Satoko and Rika-chan's houses were on the other side past the school.
そうそう。街で部活ってどういうことだよ。まさか、みんなで覆面をして日が暮れるまでにいくつ銀行が襲えるかっていうのじゃねえだろうな。
別にそれでもいいけど。
I'm sure you wouldn't.
それでも私は負けないけどね。
みーちゃんってね、なぜか現金輸送車の順路とか時間とかをいつもレナに教えてくれるんだよ。
Greta, don't say stuff like that. I believe you when you say that.
なんでだろうね。
What? I spun around with a serious look on my face and looked at Mion. Well, it certainly seemed possible that Mion was capable of doing that.
マジかよ。ミオン。
I know, right?
レーナー
Aww.
何言ってんの
みーちゃんごめんね。
That was actually pretty clever. I didn't see, like, post-traumatic stress version of myself would believe anything about these two, but I've kind of, like, immediately reverted back to, like, oh, this is just fun, happy times at Hinamizawa. And I didn't think that Rena would be... Oh, no, though. She seems so innocent, but it's like, there's definitely part of it that's a bit of a played up as an act sometimes, because She definitely knows how to turn on the sympathy card, but to try and, like, she'll spin a story if it gets people to do what she wants. We've seen that before. I don't know why I'm so surprised. The two of them joked around. That bright laughter was the best match for a beautiful day like today.
おい、二人とも、サトコとリカちゃんが先に待ってるんだろ。じゃれてないで早く行こうぜ。
It is terrifying to imagine what he's gonna do to these two eventually. Around and around, fooling about like the two fluttering butterflies, I earnestly wished I could just keep watching them like this. But the five of us together would be absolutely more fun.
そうだね。じゃあ行こっか。
目標は10億強奪。山分けしたらみんなで高飛びだぜ。
The three of us on our bikes headed over the gently sloping hills toward town. Accelerating hard, we crested the hill. Ooh, I don't think we've seen... Oh wait, maybe we saw the sprite like once. The view expanded as Okinomiya Station came into sight. I occasionally come to the station here. Considering the amount of effort it takes to get here, though, was quite a hassle. That's why I didn't know much about the area around the station, or Okinomiya itself for that matter. The streets we were headed down today were of course unfamiliar to me as well. Going through the railway crossing, we headed past the south end of the station.
こっち側は来るの初めてだな。
こっちにはね、ゲームセンターとかおもちゃ屋さんとかがいろいろあるの。
Nice.
みーちゃんが詳しいよ。
ゲーセンもあるのか。俺、前は結構通ってたからな。ゲーマーの血がうずくぜ。
ゲーセン通いなんて、ケイちゃん不良だね。今度来た時に案内してあげるよ。結構台数を揃えたいい店があるから。
Sounds good. Seems like the town of Okinomiya was Mion's stomping ground. If I asked her, she could tell me a lot of things about it. Interesting. That might explain why he was able to get spied on in the cafe so easily. Eventually, we came across a store with quite a few bikes parked in front of it. Was this the arcade? No, it was a smaller shop. Looking at the window display, it seemed like your everyday toy shop. But for almost 10 kids to be filing in and out of the store, they were doing almost too well for themselves.
ひょっとして、あの店で今日何かイベントでもあるのか？
その通り。優勝賞金は5万円。
Oh, fetch! That's like $500.
5万円？なんだよそれ。ケイチ王国の5年分の GNP に匹敵するぞ。
The total GNP of the People's Republic of Keiichi. That's awesome. Two cute figures messing about in front of the store noticed us and waved their hands.
皆様方。
Oh, they have new outfits. Well, Satoko's had that before, but did Rika have that? That looks different to me.
お待ちしてましたよ。おはようございますなのです。
おはようリカちゃん。さとこ、警察が来る前にケリをつけるぞ。目標は10億強奪だ。
ケイチさんの話がわかりませんわ。遅くなったかな。リカちゃんたちは今来たの？今日は早く終わったので、だいぶ待ってましたですよ。
そりゃあ悪いことをしたわ。こっちはケイちゃんがなかなか来なくてさ。
Oh, don't you put that on me.
ケイチでは仕方ありませんですよ。
Hi. Saying that, Rika-chan stretched up and began petting Mion's head. Hey, wait a minute. What? Are you solving everything by making me the bad guy?
もちろん、ケイチさんでなくては務まらない大役でしたよ。
Oh, there's a good classic. Oh ho ho laugh. I love it.
実に嫌な大役だな。こんなので丸く収まると思ったら大間違いだぞ。
That's very true. I was feeling slightly irritated. I don't think about it. Like, of course, who else but Keiichi could fill this important role of like making him the bad guy? Isn't that exactly what actually happens though? Is they make him the bad guy and he's just like you think that's gonna solve everything? Like it's almost like, is that intentional or am I just reading too much into it at this point? Also, I noticed that like they've got a picture here of someone catching like a stag beetle. That's cute. It's on the window. I was feeling slightly irritated, so I began to repeatedly smack Sasako on the head. Smack, 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 smack.
ケイチさんがぶった。ケイチにいじめられてかわいそうですよ。さとこちゃん泣いてる。お持ち帰り。 悪い人はレナお姉ちゃんがやっつけてあげるからね。
Uh-oh. Run away. Run away. Oh. Blam. Rena ecstatically wiped the tears, which were probably fake, from Satoko's face, while Rika-chan gently patted mine as I lay sprawled on the ground. Yes, this is fine.
やっぱりこれが正しい丸い収め方だよな。
Physical abuse?
前歯が欠ける前に新しいオチを探した方がいいと思うけど
Hey,
ね。
but it is a good punchline. Well then, upsy daisy. In any case, the greeting for today went well. Ooh. Inside the toy shop were about 10 boys all around the same age as me. Apparently, they all knew Mion, and finding out that she had arrived, they greeted her with jeers, a few at a time.
みーちゃんはこのおもちゃ屋さんの常連なの。だから友達もすっごく多いの。
おもちゃ屋の常連って何なんだ？
ほら、ケイチさん、奥をご覧なさいませ。
This looks like super old-timey. Following Satoko's prompting, I looked, and there were chairs lined up at tables, almost for some sort of birthday party. I realized it immediately.
まさかこれって部活の会場なのか？
驚いたかいケイちゃん。私、この店のおじさんと仲良しで
I'm
ね。
sure you are.
たまに客寄せイベントってことで、ゲーム大会を開かせてもらってるんだよ。
And also because they wouldn't dare say no to you. Knowing everything we know about you, expand its customer base. I see. Meaning all the boys laying up the place for participants.
そうなの。いつもは5人だけど、今日はもっともっと大勢での部活なんだよ。
Oh man. Greta was innocently happy about being able to play so many people, but my expression grew noticeably stern.
ケイチさんの考えてること、手に取るように分かりましたよ。
ほう。じゃあ試しに行ってみようか。言うぞ。せーの。
These are all enemies. Satoko's voice and mine blended together in harmony. We looked over at the participants. After all, the top prize was 50,000 yen. My eyes lit up like a flame.
ね、ケイちゃん。今日は楽しめそうでしょ？
まあな、ライバルが何人増えようが、狙うものに変わりはないさ。
ライバル？はぁ。ケイちゃん、クジラが水を飲むとき、今飲んだ水の中に何匹シラスが混じっていた
Oh,
か、
that's
いちいち数えてると思う？
a harsh way to take it, Mion. You sound super confident. She said that in an unpleasant voice, laughing with an aggressive glint in her eye reserved solely for club activities. Dang it, Mion. She's as serious as she can get today.
本気なのは私だけじゃないよ。ほら、リカちゃんを見てごらんよ。
Mion pointed, looking at where her finger directed me.
なんだありゃ。
Rika-chan was using those kinds of traits to soften up the group with an almost excessive pleasantness.
僕も頑張るのですよ。ファイト、王なのです。
She's making sure she's like a soft target so people aren't going to pick on her. Completely emasculated, the group joined Rika-chan in a cheer. The inside of the store had been consumed by the world of Rika-chan. Dang it, she's already chomping at the bit.
今日は楽しくなりそうだね。
Uh-oh, and Rena's in danger mode.
頑張るよ。はう。
It seemed that Rena was also unusually fired up by the large crowd. Hopping and running around, she had entered entirely into cute mode. In Rena's case, the real fun starts when her attention gauge fills up. Her happy-go-lucky attitude belayed the fact that she was in a state in which she was the most threatening. Exactly, like, when her eyes are like that, that's danger. Mion was making small talk with some of the regular customers she was acquainted with. She was like business as usual with her. Of course, if anybody thought that Mion looked ordinary, they were not qualified to be in our club. The shadow beneath her feet was exuding killer instinct, rising up like a chill wind. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is.
ミオンめ、恥も外聞も捨てるくらいに本気だな。
ケイチさん知らないんですの？賞金の5万円、ミオンさんの自腹でしたよ。
Really? What? She was putting out the 50,000 yen by herself. At the moment, the dark miasma that worked Mion's surroundings began to appear. It's a trap.
ん？何？ケイちゃん。 私の顔に何かついてる？
Don't play with my heart, game. Don't play with my heart. You can't be doing it. A shiver crept up my spine. That Mion cornering herself like that, she's pulling out the demon lurking within her. Fine with me. Dang it, my knees are shaking like crazy. Before I realized it, the store had filled up with even more people. However, the looks in their eyes weren't confrontational. They were looks of expectation and curiosity. They were the eyes of onlookers who were wondering what kind of match was going to occur and who was going to win.
へへ、最高の舞台じゃねえか。面白くなってきやがったぜ。
ケイチくん、頑張ろうね。
Oh, Rena, calm down.
頑張ろうね。
Rena was already fully charged. Mortal laws and common sense held no ground before the might of Rena in her cute mode. I definitely didn't want to fight her if possible.
リカちゃん頑張
Great, she's got a fan club.
僕たちを応援してるよ。
はい、頑張りますですよ。
Rika-chan, who was exuding way too much charm no matter how you looked at it, had already won over most of the onlookers to her side. Nonchalantly avoiding things that had always been Rika-chan's creed, but for her to be blatantly laying out her machinations like this, something was definitely strange. The problem is, I feel like we're the only one who doesn't know what the game is yet. Like Rena, she was somebody who I didn't want to fight if I could help it.
もちろん、一番戦いたくないのはミオンさんですけどね。
Agreed.
何度か部活で奴と視線をくぐったが。
Boy, that's gonna be true later.
今日ほどヤバいと思う日はないぜ。
ミオンさん、一昨日のポーカーで負けたの、相当根に持ってるみたいでしたよ。
Oh yeah.
らしいな。つまり今日は、ミオンの復讐のための特設舞台ってわけだ。
Almost as though she were psychic, Mion turned toward us. Her eyes silently conveyed the message. You guys just figured that out now? It wasn't just Mion. Both Rena and Rika-chan were more pumped than they'd ever been. Yeah. One's gonna pop up today. Without a doubt, there will be casualties.
私とケイチさんがなんとなく置いてきぼりですわね。いかがでございましょう。なんでしたらスマートに初戦をお手合わせ願えませんかしら。
そうしよっか。俺もエンジンがかかるまで鳴らしをし。
My spinal column shuddered like it had been struck by a bolt of lightning, like a pillar of ice had been jammed into it, beginning to freeze. I could almost see the flames backlighting Satoko with their intensity. Even then, while Satoko was displaying a normal smile, it was cold and inhuman, almost as if she was wearing a plastic mask.
へっ、そんなに俺を初戦で消したいかよ。殺気が隠せてないぜ。
あら、残念ですわね。ケイチさんにしてはなかなか慎重でしたよ。
Without a doubt, it was a trap. I don't know what she had up her sleeve, but I fought with Satoko during the opening round. My loss would be more certain than if I went against Mion. A pitch-black miasma permeated the inside of the store. Did they all want to win the 50,000 yen prize that much? No, that's not right. The only ones competing for the prize money were the casual participants. Yeah, I was different. I had mistaken this as just a way to fool around on a normal Sunday. It didn't matter when it was, or where it was, or who our opponents were. In our club, the goal is always the very top of the mountain. An intense flame that no strong wind could extinguish, hot enough to melt any steel, began to burn inside me. The fuse had been lit on this unprecedented intense club battle. It was then that the owner of the store told Mion with a lackadaisical voice that it was about time to begin.
みんないいかな？慶長慶長！
Mion began with the formalities, standing in for the owner and explaining the rules for today's tournament. You're only playing to win. There's no second or third place. That's the same rule as our club. There were 15 people participating. We were split into groups of five via draw, and each group would have one winner. Each winner of the first stage would advance to the next in order to compete to the final.
さて、各卓の競技方法なんだけど、これは各卓で好きに決めていいよ。
Okay.
このお店にあるゲームなら何を使っても OK。
Already to club mode DEFCON 1, I didn't let slip the small gap in the rules go unnoticed.
ミオン、質問いいか？みんな自分の得意ゲームを主張して決まらないんじゃねえのか？
はあ、そうだね。 らないと始められないね。
The spectators also nodded along. It was only natural. There wasn't anybody who could simply accede to their opponent's suggestion.
紳士的に決めてほしいけど、そういう時は店のマスターが決めるってのでいい？
It was an event at a toy store, after all. You'd expect the owner to referee. After that, Mion's rundown continued. It ended with the rule that any losing participants would have to buy the game they lost at, a rather nice proposition for the store. First, we used a draw to split into 5 groups. Everybody lined up single file and began to draw tickets that the shop owner had prepared. It was my turn. Alright, time to draw. No matter what I was up against, I'd crush them. At that moment, Mion began to laugh with a hawkish gleam in her eye.
当然わかってると思うけど、部活メンバーには一般参加者とは別に罰ゲームがつくからね。
It's almost like she wants to guarantee he'll lose. Like, the chances of him getting to the end? Pretty slim.
そんなことだろうと思ったぜ。内容はなんだ？
勝者が敗者一人一人に1個命令。
Contrary to how simple it sounded, it was a terrifying eventuality, the subject of which no one could predict. Darn you, Mion. Was she really planning on parading me around Hinamizawa in cat ears and banana hammock and a tail attached or something? The look on Mion's face told me she wasn't going to let me off that easy. On top of that, this time, it wasn't just the person who finished last who'd have to submit to the penalty game.
敗者一人一人に命令。つまり、ビリでなくても罰ゲームってことだな。
Oh, man.
そういうこと。
勝者がない場合は、部活メンバーが全員途中で脱落したらお流れか。
We know that won't happen, but...
ケイちゃん、脳みそは元気？
何？
The look in Mion's eye became that of a lion bearing its fangs.
我が部の再生営がどう間違ったらこんなひよこども相手に負けるっての？ケイちゃん、初戦で消えて、私に恥かかさないでよ。
That's me. Even so, I didn't feel threatened. The more into my opponent was, the stronger I'd become.
見てろ。ただミオンにいじめられてたわけじゃないってことを見せてやるぜ。
会おうね。決勝で。
The results of the draw were enough to make you cry conspiracy. All the members of the club were neatly divided amongst the 5 tables. How did this happen when the draw was that random? The thought that I was already caught in Mion's puppet strings made me feel uneasy. Yeah, that feels way too, like, unlikely. That was fine, though. I'll crush all your petty tricks. Now, where were my opponents? Everybody was headed to the table corresponding to the number on their ticket. My competition at my table was these 2, huh? They look younger than me. Huh?
あれ？お前ら、学校のクラスメイトだよな。
あ、どうも、富田です。彼は岡村です。
Okumura-kun greeted me by nodding his head. So my opening round would be against my juniors from school. Just saying, but it seemed like a pretty easy matchup. Lucky. Time to destroy them without mercy.
じゃあみんな、それぞれに対戦ゲームを決めて始めてちょうだい。
With Mion's declaration, the inside of the store suddenly became lively. Everybody was yelling their favorite games at each other and trying to gain advantage before they started. Even my 2 classmates, who seemed taciturn at first glance, began to fiercely insist their own games as soon as the signal was given. Of course, I would kick those suggestions aside. There was absolutely no reason to pick a game your opponent was good at.
悪いな。どれも知らないゲームなんだ。もっと知名度の高いやつにしてくれ。
Of course, they didn't agree to the games I suggested either. I could only smirk bitterly. Naturally, after 5 minutes, the table still couldn't agree on a game. Obeying the rules, we asked the store owner to decide on a game. Clearing his throat, the shop owner brought over a board game from the back of the store. It was a game called Billionaire. Quite a vintage we have here. Come to think of it, if you lose, you have to buy this game. That darn shop owner. He's using his competition to get rid of all the games he couldn't sell?
これなら俺も知ってるよ。2人も知ってるよな。ルーレットを回してゴールを目指す。最後に清算して、一番お金を持ってるやつが勝ち
So
だ。
it's like game of life. These 2 nodded in agreement, and finally the game was underway. At the time, I'd already had a feeling of an impending crisis. I wouldn't realize why until the game progressed a bit.
1、2、3、4、出産祝いをもらう。全員から$5000もらう。悪いね。
Okay, built up a bit of a lead.
1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8と。ボーナス。
銀行から10万ドルもらう。
What? The tables were turned in an instant.
1、
Yeah, it's a game of
2、
mostly chance. There's not really a whole lot of skill in this kind of game.
出世コースに進む。
Well, that's a good route. Seemed like my only piece was landing on the steady pace spaces. I had doubts as to why Mion didn't bring out board games for club activities, but that reason was laid bare before my eyes. That's right. I'd only realized it now. This game was completely based on luck. What could I possibly do to make sure I ended up in first place at the end? The ultimate outcome of this game was decided on a place beyond human hands. How were the other club members doing? My eyes naturally wandered off to the other tables. Mion's table was... what? They weren't doing anything. Had they still not decided on the game? This naive idea existed to distract me from the most frightening possibility. Mion was lounging about, leisurely holding some juice she'd bought from the vending machine outside in one hand. When our eyes met, she gave me a look of ease. It couldn't be. She'd already finished. What game was it? That easily? It was probably too late to be concerned with it at this point. Only 5 minutes since we started, her two opponents were already beyond recourse. They were sitting there, slumped over in disappointment, muttering to themselves, trying to figure out where they went wrong. For that, they'd find no answer. See, that's the thing. It's like, it might be better to let the opponents pick the game if it meant that you'd have a game that you could try and exploit the rules in, you know? Yeah, this like random luck game is a very bad idea. Was there any reason to defeat other than to say then they sat at the same table as Mion? Then what about Rena's table? The spectators were causing quite a commotion. It looked like their game was Karuta. The shop owner was apparently the one reading out the cards. Rena tended to dawdle along and space out a lot. Wouldn't she have had a hard time with this game?
じゃあ読みますよ。犬も歩けばくたびれる。
Bam! Oh. At the same instant, the shop owner began sounding out the words and the card question disappeared off the face of the table? No, the face of the earth! Impossible, where'd it go? It was against Rena's cheek. She was rubbing it there.
はぁ、かいよ。お持ち帰り。
Oh no. Looking at the card Rena rubbed against her cheek, it was some anime-themed version of Karuta, with a rather cute moe illustrations decorating the cards. Basically, it was a picture of a pretty dog girl, with a slightly large chest, painted in half in tears, panting and half in tears as she was being pulled along on a chain. Oh gosh. With those types of pictures, even I could play with godlike speed. Of all people to play the game, it had to be Rena. It was entirely possible that her fingertips were on the verge of breaking the sound barrier.
決まったね。
Mion smiled coolly, seeing no further reason to keep watching. She turned back.
かいかい。レナ、勝ってもこのカルタちゃんと買うよ。お持ち帰り。
After that, the second the cards began being read, bam, bam, the decisive sounds echoed. Well then, how about Satoko? Oh, she's playing a rather orthodox game. Concentration. Judging from the distressed look on Satoko's face, it seemed that she was struggling somehow. One of the main characteristics of concentration is the pace of the game speeds up as it goes. As the number of cards to memorize decreases, it becomes easier to match several pairs in a row. It wouldn't be exaggeration to say the first person to take over the flow of the match can run away as the winner. The cards still in play had decreased. If you memorize the cards that have been turned over before, you should have a good chance of sweeping the table at this point. Satoko probably knew the positions of all the remaining cards. However, her turn came a little too late. If her opponent followed up, the match would be decided.
北条、悪いけど、僕も優勝賞金を狙ってるんだ。
Uh-oh.
悪く思うなよ。
This guy. Did he have the locations of the remaining cards memorized? Excuse me. He's completely certain of his victory. The tension on his face relaxed. Unless she did a sneaky swap.
決まったな。
I whispered that as the board manner as I turned my attention back to my own game. I spun the wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each ni san shi. Sho? Or I can't remember. I used to know it really well.
そんな、確かにここはハートのエース。
Ah, she got him. There was a commotion at Satoko's table as the shout rang out. The other two at my table turned around in surprise. I didn't. After all, there really wasn't anything to be surprised about. The onlookers were confounded, most of them certain the Ace of Hearts should have been there. There's no way, I must be seeing things. It must have been because I was excited. So assured in his victory, the distress over his defeat ran deep. That's how it is. If his opponent wasn't Satoko, the Ace of Hearts certainly would have been there. What a fool. When you're up against Satoko, you can't let your guard down for a moment until the battle's over.
あら、ケイチさんの勝負はまだつきませんの？センスないですわね。
With a refined tone of voice reserved for only winners, Satoko called out to me. With a casual observer, it must have looked like she only eked out a victory. From my point of view, however, she was only playing around. The roles of winner and loser had already been decided. It was nothing more than child's play. The laughable part about it was her opponent didn't know that his role had already been assigned.
やるじゃねえか。ハートのエースなんておしゃれな罠をかけやがって。
相手を仕留める罠はほんのちょっぴり。それも1個で十分ですのよ。
Satoko was a trapper. Her true talent was never having one misfire. Setting off only one trap was more than enough? Ain't that cool. The fact that all the club members were winning one after the other with their own brand of play only added to my impatience and my own lack of progress. Oh right, how is Rika-chan doing? How are our club's sly little fox doing? What the heck is that? Over in the corner, the mood of the table decidedly different from the others. The game at Rika-chan's table was, you know, battery-powered fishing game? Oh, right, like the one where you dip like the little fish and you have like the little fishing pole, like... Yeah, the one where the fish open and close their mouths as they rotated on the platform. You used a magnetic fishing rod to pick them up. That old thing. It seemed they played on a competing base on so you could catch the most fish, but it had become an atmosphere you could hardly call competitive.
わあ、釣れましたですよ。
うまいうまい。リカちゃんうまいよ。おっとっと。また釣られちゃったよ。リカちゃんはうまいな。
I knew that Rika-chan had already charmed her opponents along with the onlookers before the match had even begun, but brilliantly played. That corner had become the informal meeting of the Rika Furure fan club.
リカちゃんの圧勝だよ。圧勝だよ。リカちゃん、お魚釣りうまいんだね。
リカちゃんが釣ってるのは多分魚じゃないと思うな。
Yeah, she's doing the other kind of fishing. Hearing that, she glanced over my way briefly. This is my way of getting serious. That's what I heard.
リカにしかできない、リカだから許される大技ですわね。
Yeah, a masterful technique.
前原さんの番ですよ。
ああ、すまん。俺の番か。1、2、脱税の追徴課税。
No!
5万ドル支払う。
In contrast, my game was an unseemly situation it was. Noticing the uneasiness creeping across my face, my companions came to see how I was doing.
あれ？ケイチ君、ひょっとして苦戦かな？苦戦か
It's
な？
luck-based!
岡村、あなた今いくらぐらい持ってますですの？
Okumura, who had wrung lots of money out of the elite course, began to count through the stacks of white $100,000 bills.
98万ちょいくらいかな。
富田はどれくらいお金持ちですか？
僕は88万ドル。まだまだ逆転できる位置だね。
Those two looked like they would easily surpass $1 million.
で、ケイちゃんはいくら持ってんの？
Mion's tone of voice was grim from the get-go. It was her disappointment and disgust as club president.
仕方ねえだろこのゲーム。ルーレット回す以外に何も作戦がないんだぜ。イカサマがあるとしたらなんだよ。二人に目をつぶって100数えてもらって、その隙にルーレットに細工でもするのか？そんなのできるわけねえだろ。
First of all, that just sounds like excuses, but I also kind of agree that he'd have to be really, really blatant. Ryu-chan gently patted my head. Still, she wasn't too happy.
無様ですわね。一度は好敵手と思ったのに、幻滅でしたよ。
Sheesh!
投げちゃダメだよ、ケイチ君。何か逆転があるはずだよ。頑張ろう。最後まで頑張ろう。
Like I said, how am I supposed to get a comeback with the game relying entirely on luck? Right, Mion? Mion's face, however, was almost unbelievably indifferent, like she was watching something completely unexciting. She then turned her back without saying a word.
おい、ミオン。
It was a pathetic voice that irked even myself.
失望したよ。みんな本気なのに。 ケイちゃんだけは本気になってくれなかったね。
本気ってなんだよ。気合でルーレットの目をコントロールしろってのかよ。そんなのできるかよ。
本気のケイちゃんなら、そのゲームでも開始10秒で蹴りをつけてたね。
みーちゃん、そんなに怒ることないよ。待ってよ。
Mion, in a bad mood, cast me aside and disappeared to the depths of the shop. Maybe it was because I had been in an awkward situation, but the spectators dispersed from around my table. Dang it, are you saying I'm not serious about this? Are you saying if I was serious, I would have settled the game of chance in 10 seconds? If I was serious, everybody was praying for my victory. They believed in me. Did I betray their expectations? Was it because I wasn't serious? Ugh.
ゲーム進めます？
The two of them were timidly trying to resume play. I didn't respond to that. The table sunk into silence.
前原くんは投了でいいかな。
The owner, thinking I was forfeiting, started to announce the cancellation of the game. At that moment, the demon inside me let loose a howl and awakened. I get it now, Mion. What it means for me to be serious? I'll show you! Bam! I clamped my hands on the shoulders, speaking in a low voice after pulling them closer.
富田くん、岡村くん、取引しよう。俺を勝たせろ。
The two of them, not immediately understanding what I just said or the meaning behind it, were momentarily confused.
前原さん、暴力はなしですよ。ちゃんとゲームで勝敗を。
話は最後まで聞け。お前らの望みは何だ？
Yeah, what do you want? I'll give you whatever you want.
優勝して5万円か？
そりゃそうですよ。
So I'll pay you.
5万なんて大金。二度とないチャンスですよ。
仮に優勝したとして、お前らその5万で何をする？どんな楽しみ方をする？
The two of them considered it briefly.
新しいゲーム買うとか、お菓子とか、ジュースとか。
小せえ小せえ。バカかお前ら。じゃあ前原さんが勝ったらどんな楽しみ方があるって言うんですか？俺か？そこが本題だ。今から言うことを黙って聞け。
We club members have a penalty game separate from the casual participants. If we lose, we have to obey a single command from the winner. From another point of view, the winner earns the prize of being able to order the other club members around.
まず富田くん、君は里子萌えだよな。
Oh,
否定すんな。
oh, fetch!
そして岡村くん、君は理科萌えだな。
Oh, fetch! I drew the two of them, red-faced and conscious of whether anybody else heard what I said even closer.
美少女。
No!
萌え、男の推薦、男のロマン。例えるなら永遠にたどり着けないエデンのその。
What are you gonna promise?
だけど目指すんだろ。それは俺たちのハートに熱い魂が燃えよと叫ぶからだ。
Our souls scream for Moe. Oh my gosh. The sensitive age where you couldn't say you liked a girl you liked. Understanding that gave me all the more power.
俺が優勝したら富田くん、里子を一日首輪付きで君の妹にしてあげよう。
Yeah. Red fountain spewed from both of Otaka-kun's nostrils.
そして岡村くん、君には猫耳リカちゃんに手綱をつけてお散歩させて
Oh
あ
my
げよう。
gosh, dude. Blood erupted from the vein on Okumura-kun's forehead.
そんなことそんな、
うろたえるな。お前たちは俺に無理やり付き合わされたことにすればいいんだ。前原先輩のわがままの犠牲者なだけ、いやいやでいいんだよ。分かってる。お前たちの胸の内は全部分かってる。
Oh my gosh. Then I suddenly lowered the tone of my voice.
俺は灰色の学校生活を送ってきた。それがどんなにつまらなく、人生の大切な時間を浪費したことになるのか。だから後輩のお前たちにはそんな時間を過ごしてほしくないんだよ。自分に素直になれ。夢を追え。そして叶えろ。俺が叶えてやる。俺がだ。
It was this moment the values of men bridged generations. Did I ever have to have a mentor who spoke of my mind for me so strongly? Never. There was no way there was. That's because in a man's lifetime, he'll only have 3 faithful encounters. That valuable first time was being experienced right this moment with these two. He's promising them a win.
じゃあ、いいな。行くぞ。せーの。ゲーム終了!
It was such an assertive declaration of the game's ending that everyone in the store turned to look. It had been less than 3 minutes since I was on the verge of forfeit, and all the spectators were certain of my loss.
ケイチさん、どうなりましたの？勝敗は？
俺の完全勝利だ。
なんですって？あの状況、どうやってひっくり返しましたの？
家庭なんか必要ないよな。男と男の決着だよな。ああ、みんな！
The two of them, stifling tears of gratitude, answered strongly from the bottom of their hearts. Exactly what kind of miracle occurred here during those 3 minutes? The spectators all looked away from my utter disadvantage? They just gave me their money. The spectators were puzzled at how I was able to so quickly overcome that hopeless situation. That guy, he's able to control the spinning wheel with his eye or something? It's a miracle. What devilry is this? He's in cahoots with that Mion, you know? Wait, yeah, what's that all about? He's in cahoots with that Mion. What do you know? There's no doubt he had some strange trick up his sleeve. I looked at the crowd and couldn't help but be excited. Out of the corner of my eye, now fully awakened and in battle mode, I let out a derisive laugh.
これが俺の本気ってことだよ、ミオン。
遅えっての。
Bringing out banging our fangs at each other, we laughed together with most unsightly fashion.
じゃあこれで部活メンバーが全員1回戦突破ですわね。ということは、今度はみんなで対決だね。対決だね。僕はもう賞金で買うものを決めていますです。
Oh, I'm sure you have.
もちろんですわ。ねえ。
Satoko and Rena smiled, sneered at each other. These guys. Do they really think they can win against Keiichi Maibara when he gets this serious?
ミオン。
Yes.
失敗だったな。お前はさっき、俺に助言すべきじゃなかったぜ。
ひよこが。
Mewling newborn.
私に勝つなんて100万光年早いって。
ミオン、光年は距離の単位だ。
Oh, she's embarrassed? She's embarrassed.
どうするのみーちゃん。5人でどう戦うのかなさ
ーて。これだけ豪華な面々が揃ったんだからね。今日という日を急ぐのが惜しいよ。
Uh-huh.
みーの言ってる意味が難しいです。
She's got a plan.
まさか、てめえ
Mion's hair flowed elegantly, almost like a cape, as she turned her back to the table.
今日の勝負を部長園崎ミオンが預からせてもらうよ。勝負方法と日時は未定。
Hey!
ギャラリーは多い方がいいね。Hinamizawaも沖宮も全ての人間の目の前で。これ以上ないくらい徹底的な決着をつけてあげるよ。
逃げる気ですの？いくらミオンさんでも卑怯ですことよ。
ひよこが生かされたことにまだ気づかんか。
The combative aura billowing out of Mion's body formed a barrier, stopping Satoko's advance.
また会いましょう。せいぜい首でも洗っとくことね。
With a shrill laugh, Mion left the store. After a moment of silence, the crowd erupted into cheers. When will they resume the contest? Mion's serious. The other members did great too. That new guy, Maibara, he's got some strange power. He turns the tables in an instant. I will still win this.
絶対優勝してくださいよおうミオンなんざ逆さにしてサンズの川に叩き込んでやるぜ
The part of the crowd that apparently overheard the covenant between Toмотaka and Okumura-kun and myself erupted into a cheer again. Mion's going to win anyways. She's the undefeated empress. I'm betting on Mion. No, it's going to be Rena with that ungodly speed. Satoko, the trap artist. Rika, the siren. Oh, that's a good name for her. Maybe a long shot, but it'll be Maibara. However, right now I had no ear for those cheerful voices. seeing the stage for this huge match and then running away like that, I wasn't going to forgive Mion. Outside the store, Mion was getting on her bike as the shop owner was seeing her off.
逃げるなミオン。部長なら逃げるな。俺と戦え。
ごめん、ケイちゃん。私これからバイト。
Huh? Like you wouldn't sketch, like you would have seen a sketch comedy show. My legs slipped in opposite directions until I was doing the splits.
うん。ケイチくんがゲームしてる間に、みーちゃんに電話があったの。残念だね。
せっかく暑くなってきたのに、ついてないよ。おじさんの店でさ、特売にお客が殺到してるらしくてさ、レジが足りないから助けてって電話があったんだよ。
おじさんって、なんだスーパーの店長でもやってんのか？
ささやかなお店だけどね。でもさ、特売やれば主婦が殺到するの常識で読めないのかね。
No, they don't.
店員足りないのに卵1パックを一人様1点限り10円なんてやるな。
I was a little surprised. You would never think this is the club president exuding such dark aura inside the store just a short time ago. It was the usual Mion right now, almost exasperatingly so. My shoulders slumped. That's right. Club mode was over now. But it was really heated today. It was really fun. It really was fun. Dang, Mion, she really knows how to fire people up.
私こそ頭がジンジン痺れるくらい燃え上がったよ。特にケイちゃん、怖かった。あの場で本当に噛み殺されるんじゃないかって思ったね。
お仕事だから仕方ないけど、本当に残念だね。この続き、本当にやりたいですわね。いつがいいでございましょう。綿流しのお祭りでやるのなんていいですよ。
Oh, really?
綿流し祭五強爆闘か。そうだね。考えておくかな。
Right now, what were Rika-chan and Mion talking about? Watanagashi Festival? Cotton drifting 5D and what?
私、週刊漫画みたいないい加減なノリ大好きなんだ。
I'm sure you do.
こんな痛快な部活が近いうちにまたできるといいね。
She laughed with a smile that made you feel refreshed just looking at it. At that moment, the shop owner came out carrying a paper bag. I wondered what it is. Is she giving it to us?
今日はみんな本当にありがとう。おかげでイベントは大盛り上がりだったよ。大したものじゃないけど、これ今日のおだちんに。
あ、吉郎おじさん、私にはないの？おだち。
かわいいのが出てきましたわよ。
When Satoko and Rika-chan opened the bag up, there were cute little stuffed animals inside.
わあ、これかわいい。お持ち帰りしていいの？本当に？
ってことは俺のもかな？なんだかやたら可愛いのが出てきたぞ。
There was a stuffed toy wearing a beautiful dress. When did you usually play house? And his eyes were glued to my stuffed doll. Satoko was the same, and Rika-chan too.
ケイちゃんには一番似合わないのが出てきちゃったね。
なんつうのか、プリティっていうかキュートっていうか、可愛いのは認めるんだが、着せ替え人形はちょっとな。
ケイちゃんが持ってたら確実に明日からあれな趣味の人扱いだね。
Starting tomorrow. Mion didn't have to go that far. That wasn't something a guy like me should be carrying around. Mion was the only one who hadn't received a present, so I thought about giving it to her. However, after briefly considering, I gave it to Ren instead. Oh. Hey, look at that. Aww, she looks disappointed. Aww. I didn't expect Mion to be into the cute stuff.
くれるの？レナに？ありがとう。
方針のためだよ。レナにあげないと夜道が怖い。
違いない違いない。
ミオンにあげようかと思ったけど、ちょっと違うよな。
へへへへ、わかってるじゃない。
I don't know. You look disappointed.
私さ、どうして男に生まれなかったのかなって思う時あるよ。
女でよかったな。男だったらもうとっくに殺してる。
Ouch. Please don't say things like that.
今のうちに殺しといた方がいいよ。
Oh my gosh, stop that.
じゃないとケイちゃん、死んで後悔することになるから。
Ah! Mion laughed after saying such an ominous line. Everybody laughed heartily along with her.
来世では神様に男にしてもらえるように頼めよ。俺も男にしてもらうから。
そしたらケイちゃんと組んで軽く全国制覇から始めようかね。
Mion-chan, if you don't get going soon, the shop owner will totally... The shop owner totally told her meekly. A lot of us are going to look like we're having a lot of fun, so it must have been hard to put a wet blanket on things.
じゃあね。今日は最高に楽しかった。またねみんな。明日学校で。
バイト遅刻すんなよ。
Everybody waved their hands and watched as Mion left. Before I knew it, the sun was already setting and the breeze carried a hint of chill.
もうちょっと街で遊んでいく？それとも帰るかな？暗くなると道が怖いですよ。では、引き上げ時ですわね。今日は本当にいっぱい騒ぎましたわ。
そうだな。よっしゃ、帰ろうぜ。
The wind blew gently as if to cool down those of us flushed with enthusiasm. The road back to Hinamizawa was long, but I didn't really mind.
そうそう。レナさん圧勝でございましたわね。
レナがああなっちゃ悪いけど誰にも勝ち目はないな。
だってすごい可愛いカルタだったんだもの。ほら、買っちゃったんだよ。はう。
I'm sure.
リカも相変わらずですわ。リカにかかれば男どもなんて赤子の手をひねるようなものですわね。楽勝だったのです。
どこまで計算づくでどこまでが天然なのか。
Yes. The answer is yes.
リカちゃんの行く末が実に怖いな。
Oh yeah, I wonder. That'd be interesting.
さとこちゃんだってすごかったね。最後は大盛り上がりだったよ。褒められるようなゲームではありませんでしたよ。ケイイチも最後はとうとう牙を剥きましたです。
まあな。俺は追い詰められてからが強い男なんだ。
Strongest when he's cornered. Oh man.
富田さんたちなんだかすっごく応援してましたけど、何ですかしらね。
Who can tell?
富田と岡村に何か約束してましたです。
No.
きっと内緒話なのですよ。内緒話。なんだろうね。
男には時に戦いを通じてしか語り合えないものがあるんだよ。
Exactly. Desperately laughing, I frantically tried to avoid the subject. After that, everybody continued to praise each other for about how they defeated their opponents and reflected on how fun today was.
見てごらんなさいませ。夕日が綺麗でございますわよ。
Satoko, getting even more excited, pointed, waiting where her finger indicated was an immense sunset, casting even longer shadows of us on our bikes. The cries of the Higurashi were gentle and very comforting. For now. Alright. There they are. The music is so lovely right now. Let's see if there's any tips, otherwise we're going to be ending here. Oh, there is one. Who is Mion's uncle? Let's do the tips real quick. Finish a Sunday of fun and games. And look, the picture's even like the Game of Life wheel. Alright. Ooh, this music's different too.
Goめん。今日はさ、急におじさんの店のバイトが入っちゃってさ。
なんだじゃあ今日の部活はお流れってわけか。
Wait a minute, did we already have this one?
いや申し訳ない。
Mion put her hands together in an apology and grinned.
そんなに部活がやりたかったら、おじさん抜きでやってもいいけど。どれか適当に選んで。
I think I interrupted her a bit. The club locker is stuffed with fun games. You can pick whatever. The club locker was a transdimensional space from which Mion pulled games whenever we met for club activities. I wondered how many freaking games there could be stored in the locker. It was even smaller than the one we used for with cleaning supplies in it. Besides those games, there's also the cornucopia of suspicious objects, costumes for punishment games. If we lined them up on the floor in order and sorted them, they would definitely be filled the entire classroom.
やめとく。 俺がいじったらロッカーの中身がドサドサって溢れてきそうな気がするよ。
そうだね。素人は手を出さない方が無難かもしれない。
Mion gave a hearty laugh, implying that only one that could do so was the club president.
みー、先生が体育倉庫の鍵を探してますですよ。心当たりはありませんですか？
あれ？私、職員室に返せなかったっけ？
Mion said, feeling about in her pocket. Judging from her expression, she must have planned on returning it, but it was still in her pocket.
ほーら、やっぱりミオンさんですのよ。私、絶対そうだと確信してたでございますわ。僕も大正解なのですよ。さとこと一緒に大正解なのです。
I clicked early again, I'm sorry. Giggling, Satoko and Rika-chan clapped their hands together in celebration.
やかましい。
Hey! Slap clap. Mion elbowed Satoko and Rika-chan their heads and then headed for the teacher's lounge.
あ、そうだ。二人とも聞いたか？今日はミオン、バイトがあるから部活はお休みだとさ。
あら、そうなんですの？それはつまらないでございますわね。みー。
Why? The two of them made disappointed faces. Whatever anyone said, Mion's club was always the number one thing I looked forward to when going to school. It wasn't hard to agree with their melancholy expression after hearing it wouldn't be happening today.
ミオンってバイトをやってるんだよな。あいつ、一体何のバイトをしてるんだ？
Yeah. Whenever Mion canceled club, it was usually because of her job. However, it also didn't seem like she was there every day. She would go 2 or 3 days in a row, then not go at all for a while. Sounded like a pretty darn random part-time job.
別に決まったお店でお勤めをしてるわけではないのです。
決まってないってことは、じゃあ、日雇いってことなのか？
Oh, you idiot, she's at school! Mion wearing socks and a helmet, sweating to death in a factory. I couldn't imagine such a thing.
ミオンさんはおじさんの店にお休みが出たりすると応援に駆けつける便利屋さんなんだそうですわ。
Okay.
ああ、なるほどな。そういえば、おじさんのとこでバイトなんて話、前にも聞いたことがあるような気がする。
お店を持ってるおじさんがいっぱいいるので、ミーは引っ張りだこなのです。
Oh, I always thought it was just one shop. That makes sense. Oh, so her family is super embedded in the area. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense based on like the guesses I had last week of how involved she and her family are in the whole conspiracy stuff, which I'm still a big conspiracy believer. She has a lot of uncles who own shops? A lot of them.
あら、ケイチさんはご存知ありませんの？沖宮にはミオンさんの親戚の方がやってるお店って結構いっぱいありますのよ。
That's who snitched on him meeting with Oishi-san. One of her uncles probably owns the cafe.
へえ、それは知らなかった。そんなにいろいろあるのか？
ええ、パン屋さんとか八百屋さんとかラーメン屋さんとか。
Ramen shop, maybe?
他にもまだまだ。あの部活をやったおもちゃ屋さんもそうなんですのよ。
I was dumbfounded. That's amazing.
ミオンの一族って何気に詳細があるんじゃないのか？それだけいろいろあるってのもなんだかすごいよな。
他にもサラ金屋さんとか地上げ屋さんとかイメクラ屋さんとかソープランド屋さんと
First of
か
all, excuse me. Second of all, you know that?
いろいろやってると言ってますです。
Okay, a couple of weird things come from that time, but still. I could tell that was pretty extensive.
あいつに小銭を借りると妙に返却期限にうるさいのはサラ金屋の血が流れてるからか。
You know, it's sounding more and more like her family's just a mafia.
納得納得。
ミーにお買い物代を借りたことをころりと忘れてしまったら、
And by the way, mafia, yakuza, yes.
耳を揃えて返さんと身売りして風呂に沈めたるど
Holy crap.
と凄まれましたのです。
I hope you're joking. Rika-chan being sold in the entertainment industry to pay off her debts. Ah, crap, my nosebleed.
お風呂に沈められて溺れ死ぬなんておまぬきにも程がありますわね。
I don't like that. Huh? She doesn't really get it, does she? Recently, she seemed so unspoiled. Rika-chan and I gave her a pat on the head.
なぜ撫でられるんですの？ さとこはいい子さんですから、なでなでなのです。
Keep your naivete as long as you can. Satoko is lost in confusion, but she seemed to understand she was being made fun of. Okay. Alright, so I feel like we had a very similar tip that was talking about her uncle, but the impression there was that there was only one shop and one uncle, not a whole chain of uncles and shops. Okay. But we're going to end things here with the lovely music and the Higurashi, which can't possibly be intimidating, terrifying, or impending of some kind of doom in any way, shape, or form, right? Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel and for your patience, especially with the stupid audio issue. I can't believe it. Like, I normally have like a pattern of things I do to try and make sure that doesn't happen, because I've caught it several times. It happens more often than you'd think. But today I was just in a hurry and kind of flustered, a lot of stuff going on, and naturally, I just skipped that step for one time, and that was enough, so here we are. But thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel, and I hope you're excited to jump into Chapter 2. I know we got plenty of more story to cover, so we're definitely not done with Higurashi for a while. I hope you're excited for that, but I also know that you're enjoyed my theory crafting and thoughts in the first chapter, and a lot of you expressed interest in seeing what I think of the second chapter. So far, it's interesting that it is kind of a retelling. It's going back in time and sharing new stories that took place over the course of like essentially the same time period as the first game. Maybe it's a little offset, because this sounds like this is an earlier Keiichi who hasn't really heard of Watanagashi before. So maybe it's a little earlier than the first episodes of Higurashi itself, like the first chapter. But overall, it's close enough. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But if it's going to follow the same pattern, we're probably just going to be having lots of fun in this valley, not having terrible, terrible, ominous threats looming over us for the entire time. So that'll be interesting. And if it is following Keiichi the whole time, how is he supposed to like learn new things if this is just a retelling of the same like events, but from like other perspectives and other things that happened? Like, what's gonna happen when we get to like the building climax? Like, how are we gonna re-explore things that happened there? I felt like we got the entire story of that insanity, but I don't know, maybe there is more to explore, and I'm curious to see how it's gonna play out. But we'll have to figure it out together, so thank you, and I hope you enjoy coming back for more next week, and for all the other fun stuff we do in the week. So thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you check out the other series we're covering. We got a new series that'll be starting on Thursday. I can't say now, I almost did. We got Mamiya, which is a really fun indie visual novel that if you haven't ever checked out and you like kind of like psychological thriller horror type games, you should check it out. I recorded the first 2 acts like a couple years ago when it first came out. Then they released the 3rd act, and I just finally got back to it, so I'm wrapping it up. But I highly recommend watching it. It's a really good series. It's really kind of like, you know, again, indie. Not a lot of people have seen it, but those who have seen it have really loved it. So I invite you to check it out, see what you think. And then, of course, there's always Friday with Chaos Head, so that's pretty fun. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining me, for your patience, and, you know, just being so supportive. And until the next video you're watching me up, see me in next. I'll see you there.